Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. The Warriors need defenders, and Ben Simmons' game has declined, but he could resurface alongside Stephen Curry. The Warriors are suggesting they sign Ben Simmons, while Jonathan Kuminga's departure is inevitable. The Golden State Warriors need to strengthen their bench rotation, and with Ben Simmons available on the free agency market, the Dubs could consider acquiring him on a team-friendly deal. The Golden State Warriors presented an aggressive outlook towards roster construction heading into the offseason. But with free agency open and the offseason well underway, the Dubs are yet to make any significant positional upgrades. Much of the Warriors' current plight with roster building can be attributed to some pending decisions that need to be made about players on the roster. Restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga is one such asset that the team has struggled to handle. Kuminga's demands from the Warriors organization won't be easy to meet. But facilitating a trade for him has also proven to be a challenge since teams have been hesitant to pursue restricted free agents. With these factors becoming obstacles in the way, Golden State is stuck in place, and the longer they wait, the more troublesome this situation will become. Instead, the Dubs could consider making smaller additions in free agency to improve upon their current roster. Considering that the team intends to build around their core of Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green, the outlook can be considered relatively positive since the changes won't require major overhauls. The free agency market hasn't been kind to the team thus far, but the Warriors can still explore some options. Considering their decision to pivot from their usual small ball approach, the Dubs could look at former roadie Ben Simmons as a potential candidate. The notion of Simmons joining the Warriors was presented by Bleacher Report's Eric Pincus, and there may be some merit to it. Ben Simmons' availability on the free agency market is a positive sign, especially for a team like Golden State. Considering the kind of role Draymond Green plays as a defensive specialist and facilitator, Simmons could do well to slot in behind the forward as a replacement off the bench. Ever since his initial run with the Philadelphia 76ers, the 6'10" guard has struggled to find consistent form in the league. While his short stint with the Brooklyn Nets inspired some confidence in a resurgence in performance, injuries and inconsistency kept him sidelined. Simmons played with the Los Angeles Clippers to close out the 2024-25 campaign. Coming off the bench for the team, he notched an average of 2.9 points, 3.8 rebounds, and 3.1 assists per game. But it is also important to note that he received very little playing time, averaging only 16.4 minutes per game. It goes without saying that Simmons' strength doesn't lie in his scoring capabilities. Although his playmaking certainly demands more attention, the 28-year-old presents much more upside as a defensive player. At 6'10", he boasts elite athleticism and tremendous length. His agility allows him to stay in front of most guards in the league, while his height and strength helps him stand firm against bigger players in the frontcourt. The potential for Simmons to be a contributor off the bench for the Warriors is immense. The real challenge lies in how healthy and how motivated he will be over the course of an entire season. While the presence of inspiring leaders like Curry and Green, as well as a coach like Kerr, should bring the best out of a player, concerns about his motor will remain. As a free agent, the Dubs could still take a flyer on the 28-year-old, especially considering how team-friendly his contract could be. With several tools available to them, including the mid-level exception, the Warriors could benefit by getting their off-season plans going. Meanwhile, Simmons will also garner interest from other teams on the market. With the potential to be a valuable asset, the guard should find some suitors in the market soon. Stephen Curry may sway Warriors into unthinkable free agency decision. Does Steph allow Golden State to take this risk? The Golden State Warriors continue to be linked to a host of names in free agency, including one that's bound to cause immense debate among fans should it come to fruition. Former number 1 overall pick Ben Simmons remains an unrestricted free agent who's now drawing plenty of speculation in regard to the Warriors. After being proposed as a potential target heading into free agency, his ongoing availability and Golden State's multiple roster spots continue to create obvious links between player and franchise. But why would the Warriors have interest in someone whose career has so stunningly spiraled in recent years? Well, it might have something to do with Stephen Curry, who could sway the front office into taking the risk. Warriors star Stephen Curry could significantly benefit Ben Simmons. Brett Siegel of Clutch Points is the latest to speculate a Simmons move to the Warriors, mentioning the Australian alongside Seth Curry as two other interesting names that were brought up in conversations during the first 2 days of NBA Summer League. Siegel also mentioned how Simmons has thrived in systems where there are viable, reliable shooters around him. However, that hasn't necessarily been the case in recent years, not that it's been aided by Simmons' inability to take the floor himself through injury. If you look at the players Simmons has most played alongside in his career to date, there's not a plethora of knockdown movement shooters. J.J. Redick is certainly the most notable, and there's no coincidence that Simmons had a career high in assists during their first season together. The 28-year-old finished last season with the LA Clippers and averaged 3.1 assists in 16.4 minutes per game, but it was an offense not particularly suited to his strengths. It's not as if they were blessed with sharpshooters who were darting off screens, with the Clippers easily ranking first in the league in isolation possessions across the regular season. Needless to say that Curry will be the best shooter Simmons will have played alongside if he were to arrive in the Bay, while Buddy Hield could also provide the sort of movement shooting that may allow him to rejuvenate his career. We've seen the chemistry that Curry and Draymond Green have been able to build for over a dozen years, and just how valuable the latter has been as a point forward. Simmons could provide another version of that, perhaps allowing Green to carry less of a burden during the regular season. There's also the fact the Warriors probably need to find a backup point guard to help reduce the workload on a 37-year-old Curry. For all of his weaknesses, Simmons is still a capable ball handler and playmaker who could fill that point guard void. Curry should be at the forefront of mind for any roster decision the Warriors ultimately make, but that's particularly the case for Simmons, whose career may need the 2x MVP and Steve Kerr's offensive system. Kings predicted to sign Warriors star to $95 million deal. An NBA writer predicts the Sacramento Kings will give Golden State Warriors forward Jonathan Kuminga a big payday. The 2025 NBA offseason has been full of change, but many are underwhelmed after many were saying it would be the craziest offseason ever. Still, there is plenty of time for big moves across the league, but one team in particular has oddly made no moves at all. The Golden State Warriors are the lone team in the NBA that has yet to make a move this summer, but with Jonathan Kuminga's sign-and-trade rumors swirling for weeks, it is only a matter of time until they make a decision. The Sacramento Kings have been noted as a top potential suitor for Kuminga. However, the Warriors reportedly did not like their trade offer for him, which consisted of Devin Carter, Dario Saric, and 2 second-round picks. The Warriors balked at the Kings' offer of Devin Carter, Dario Saric, and 2 second-rounders for Jonathan Kuminga, considering it a buy low attempt, league sources tell. Golden State is in search of a promising young player and a first-rounder for Kuminga. This exchange could end in many ways, including the Warriors ultimately giving in to accept the offer from Sacramento in desperation to get rid of Kuminga. SBNation's Ricky O'Donnell predicts that is how the Kuminga saga will conclude, saying that the Kings will sign him to a 4-year, $95 million contract in exchange for their initial trade offer. The Kings reportedly offered Devin Carter, Dario Saric, and 2 second-round picks, which Golden State deemed a low-ball offer. I actually think that's a nice return for a player who never fit well into Steve Kerr's system. I liked Carter in last year's draft as a point-of-attack defender who can get off some threes, and they can probably find a taker for Saric on an expiring deal, O'Donnell wrote. Kuminga makes some sense for the Kings because they just need upside swings, and he could finally leverage his physical gifts away from Kerr's read-and-react defense. The Kings offer the cleanest fit of any potential suitor. The Warriors just need to agree to play ball. Kuminga, 22, averaged 15.3 points, 4.6 rebounds, and 2.2 assists per game this past season, but things took an odd turn when head coach Steve Kerr decided to bench him entirely heading into the playoffs. Since then, the expectation has been that Kuminga will find a new opportunity this summer, and the Kings could be a good alternative for him. Of course, giving Kuminga $95 million over the next 4 years would be a bold commitment, but letting the 22-year-old develop and learn on a Sacramento team that is not ready to compete for a championship is not a bad idea. Warriors linked to 10-year NBA veteran in free agency shakeup. The Golden State Warriors have stayed quiet in free agency so far. But with several rotation spots still up for grabs, that could be about to change, and one experienced forward might be on the way. According to Brett Siegel, the Warriors are showing interest in Trey Lyles, a 10-year veteran who most recently suited up for the Sacramento Kings. The 6'9" stretch big is currently an unrestricted free agent. Lyles averaged 6.5 points and 4.6 rebounds last season on 42% shooting from the field and 34% from deep. Though his numbers don't jump off the page, he's carved out a reputation as a reliable rotational forward who can space the floor and hold his own defensively. He also brings versatility, able to play either forward spot or operate as a small ball 5. Trey Lyles, Malcolm Brogdon, Chris Boucher, and Gary Payton II are the secondary names I got for you here, Siegel wrote. Jonathan Kuminga is the first domino to fall, and then the Warriors will know their financial situation to round out their roster. If the Warriors can land Lyles on a team-friendly deal, he'd likely fill the void left by Kevin Looney, who recently signed with the Pelicans. His ability to knock down threes and defend multiple positions could give Golden State a much-needed boost off the bench. Warriors weighing multiple free agent options. Lyles isn't the only name floating around. Malcolm Brogdon, the former Wizards guard, has also been linked to Golden State. Jake Fisher reports that the Warriors are among several teams expressing interest in Brogdon, who is open to a sign-and-trade exit from Washington. At 32, Brogdon brings veteran leadership, playoff experience, and strong two-way play. He averaged 12.7 points and 4.1 assists in just 24 games last season, dealing with injuries on a rebuilding Wizards team. The Clippers, Lakers, Suns, Bucks, Kings, Pelicans, and Timberwolves are also among the teams reportedly monitoring Brogdon's status. The Lakers, Clippers, Suns, Warriors, Timberwolves, Pelicans, Kings, and Bucks are expected to show interest in Malcolm Brogdon. All of these scenarios, furthermore, are sure to have an impact on Brogdon. League sources say that the Wizards are open to Golden State taking a patient approach. Don't mistake silence for complacency. The Warriors are still operating with one goal in mind, putting the right pieces around Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green to chase another championship. For now, the front office appears focused on waiting out the market and identifying value signings. With veterans like Lyles and Brogdon still on the board, Golden State has options, and the flexibility to strike when the time is right. Jonathan Kuminga could sign deal with Golden State Warriors on one condition. Jonathan Kuminga is a player who has been in the trade rumors for over a season now. The 22-year-old has been with the Golden State Warriors since 2021 and has found it difficult to find consistent minutes. He averaged 26.4 minutes in the 2023-24 season, which is the most for him in his career. Jonathan Kuminga averaged 16.1 ppg in that campaign for the Warriors. The 2024-25 season saw him start only 10 of the 47 games he played, which is the fewest he ever has in his career with the Warriors. Kuminga averaged 16.8 ppg in those games and looked good in moments, but this opened the rumors of his stint with the Warriors potentially coming to an end. The Congolese player is a restricted free agent and teams like the Sacramento Kings have already shown interest in him. However, the Dubs have refused all offers, and according to an NBA insider, Kuminga could re-sign with the Warriors only on one condition. Report: Jonathan Kuminga is expected to re-sign with the Warriors, with the understanding that he'll be traded before the February deadline. Kuminga wants to be traded before trade deadline. Brett Siegel of Clutch Points reported that Kuminga's future with the Warriors is still uncertain as the player's representatives were meeting with teams at Summer League. But according to Siegel's sources, the Warriors still want to keep Kuminga on the roster. That is, however, difficult as a contract extension for him will push them close to the first apron. In Kuminga's case, a return to the Warriors continues to be likely. Various high-ranking members of the organization would like Kuminga back, including owner Joe Lacob, sources said. Ultimately, the expectation from rival teams around the NBA is that Kuminga will go back to the Warriors with the mutual understanding that he will be moved before the trade deadline in February, added Siegel. Kuminga's time with the Warriors could be over. The Warriors know that Kuminga is a player with a lot of potential, and that is one of the reasons they don't want to execute a sign and trade for him. Signing him to an initial extension and trading him would get them assets, which can help them find a similar player or even a high first-round pick. Draymond Green spoke about the Kuminga situation and revealed that the player could get paid anywhere he went. The 22-year-old's performance in Game 3 against the Minnesota Timberwolves, where he dropped 30 points off the bench, helped him earn praise from even coach Steve Kerr. Kuminga wants to be on a team where his talent is valued, and the Dubs are in a win-now mode. They would certainly do what's best for the roster, and if that means signing Kuminga and trading him away, they would do that, as not only will they benefit from it, but it would also give them a chance to rebuild after his exit.